we've got 4 players, 50% of this table with sub-20 big blind stacks. McSweeney, 18 big blinds. Rakas, 17. Studniart's 15. Sokolovsky, 14.
Yeah, and it's a difficult navigation for the bigger stacks because if the majority of players are short, you're essentially playing a short stack strategy yourself, opening sort of high cards to prevent getting shoved on, trying to make top pairs, and you have to be a bit more careful with the more playable hands that you want to play at 190 big blinds. It's what makes tournament poker so dynamic. Really going to sort of cater your strategy to who's in the big blind, who's in the button.
Pocket threes for Kishu under the gun.
I think he may have learned his lesson. This would be a loose open.
Ace-4 for Vrakas.
He's got to be careful there. I thought that was all in. Just moved his stack forward.
Yeah, got to be careful with the whole forward motion thing, buddy.
Yeah. I was just resting my chips out there in the middle of the felt.
Round to Pedro Marques. Ace-Queen.
120.
Raises to 120,000. Sokolovsky folds Ace-6 on the button. Josh McSweeney has Ace-Jack in the small blind.
Yeah, and with 18 big blinds versus a big stack open, McSweeney might think this hand is good enough to shove. But he does take the slightly more conservative option and just flat.
No, it's a 3-bet.
It's 3-bet. Okay,
And
that's committing 3-bet, yes.
It is. Half his stack's just gone in.
Yes. And Pedro going to recognize that Ace-Queen is very high in the opening range. It's a hand that beats the rejam range.
So he's announced all in. He's shoved on McSweeney. Now, something I would point out to you, Sam, is that throughout the opening session, McSweeney has been basically doing a dance between this table and the other table, keeping an eye on the action there, seeing if there are any short stacks. And we are on a money jump. There's a difference of around 10,000 euros in prize money between 16th and 15th. So do not expect him to make this call anytime soon.
You saved a long time for this one, right?
It's kind of interesting because
I saved him for this. So it's just for the...
Actually...
In case I get a tough one.
That's why he made it like only half the stack instead of like 80%. Because
he's doing a bit of acting.
Now the floor is unsure. Yeah.
This is
yeah, but it is, and that's why.
You remember yesterday, someone...
the lads are chatting about it because
sorry guys.
in actuality, the time bank chips aren't there for any use that you... They are there for sort of legitimate, inverted commas, decision. Now, some players would say, you get the money at the time banks. They basically have a value.
No, exactly. That's why he made it.
So you can use them how you want. I tend to lean another way and think there is a sort of honor code where you use them. You can't just run down the clock for a whole table. I mean,
it's legal.
we could say that there's some small chance McSweeney's got a decision, but no, I think it's quite obvious he is calling off. Yeah, you can see Pedro's like, what am I supposed to do here?
I mean, one thing that could happen is the floor could say, right, we'll just...
I honestly don't know what I'm doing here.
Pause the action at the other table. Once they've finished the hand, right, don't deal the next hand until this guy's made up his mind.
Yes.
I just made it like 400 and just folded.
10 tournaments, you said, right? Yeah, but I was 25th in this one last year. Didn't spend any.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I want to say, just to round it out, obviously I have a sort of take on it, but the other thing to say is for Joshua McSweeney, whatever his circumstances, this is obviously real money, and you know, even though we're in the context of playing for $1 million, it might not seem a lot. You know, to McSweeney when he goes home to New Zealand, it's obviously significant money where he's willing to sort of pay the cost of time banks, and we can have some sympathy for that. Poker is about optimizing the money that you make. But what do you think, James?
Yeah, I kind of feel at this point the tournament staff have to be enforcing what we call soft hand for hand. If they see that one table is playing faster than the other, and if they see there's an all-in and we're waiting for a call, I would recommend pausing the deal at the other table so there is no value in him stalling the action. And then he can use the time banks if this is a legitimate decision, but I kind of feel you've committed yourself. You know you've got a call here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, perhaps viewers at home are thinking, well, he has got ace-jack and he is up against ace-queen, but it's just a case of the pot odds. You're going to be against nines, you're going to be against tens, occasionally you're going to be against king-queen suited, etc., etc. So, yeah, and Bergstrom is getting up for the table, and it's just not really in the... it's not about us and even the viewers at home. It's just not in the spirit of the game exactly.
Well, I guess now they know that I'm doing this, so yep.
There we go. There we go.
That's great news for me.
Great.
I'll do it one time. I'll use my actual life one time.
It doesn't count after 8 time banks. You don't get the option. The one time's only available on first time bank decisions, unfortunately.
I've never said that in a tournament before, eh? One time.
So McSweeney at risk and behind. And he has flopped a gut shot. He has 3 tens working for him.
Yeah, it's not over.
I really don't want to fly out of Prague today.
He seems like a nice lad.
4 diamonds on the turn. So 3 outs for Josh McSweeney. Needs to spike a 10 on the river to survive. River card is a jack. Too little, too late. And Josh McSweeney is the first player eliminated today. Out in 16th place, did not get the ladder. 47,250 euros. So we're going to have to bring have to bring a player up to the main stage from the other table so that we're balanced. We need 2 tables of 7.
Yeah, 2 eliminations on this table.
Meanwhile, Pedro Marques is open with ace-10, and Sylvia Studniarz has got 5s.
Call. Call.
Oh, she calls. This is... I would have expected fold or shove here. And she's actually sort of a cascading effect.
Yeah, because now Kishu's coming in with queen 10. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Family pot?
Yeah, it's a little unusual to see people flatting off such a stack. See if it's rewarded. Marques gonna be a little concerned. Occasionally a flat here is a very, very strong hand.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he has an ace.
King, queen, 7 with 2 clubs. So it's Kishu who flops best, second pair.
Yeah, Marques going to be a bit worried about king-queen is obviously a hand that people do like to flat. I think if he had a club, he could consider a c-bet, but probably begin with a check. We shall see. Just going to take his time. And you see how Sylvia now sandwiched between 2 players. The 5s just lack in playability a little bit. See, just an unfortunate board in some ways, but...
Someone busted there. Someone busted as well.
I think we're hearing there's been an elimination at the other table.
And this is really interesting. Sylvia with a hand that people aren't really even going to expect her to be in there with. Will come out with the bet.
250k called by Kishu.
It's quite a hefty one as well, by the way, half pot. And I tell you what, if she starts running a bluff here, I'm loving it.
Okay, we get the 7 of hearts on the turn. Kishu's going nowhere. Second pair, plus the flush draw.
I mean, wow. I mean, it's very hard to do. Yeah, checks over to Kisu, who checks back.
And we get a queen on the river, so it's a full house for Kishu. Sylvia has been counterfeited. She's playing the board.
And in general, when you are sort of bottom of your range, you unblock Jack 10s, unblock flush draws. I don't think she will, but it wouldn't be an unreasonable bluff, by the way. It's got to be tempting when you find yourself with 5 high.
She is bluffing.
Oh, I mean, this is just...
Oh my God, she's bluffing all of it. Snap call from Kishu, and she is eliminated.
Yes, and I do feel for her. I actually think that's a very brave and very good bluff, as, you know, a smile crossing her face. Inside, she'll be heartbroken. Bergstrom chatting about how he played his first EPT in 2005. He's 39.
So
and was at the final table in 2005.
So we have him cashing 2 events in 2005 and then not showing up again on Hand and Bob till 2017.
If you're saying he went to prison, keep it off air.
Sam!
Keep it off air. You know what he...
I'm trying to be subtle.
How he spends...
All I'm saying, the love and hate written on his knuckles is a dead giveaway.
Sure. Eastern promises. If you see his knees. And, yeah. Hey,
oh, baby. We have a hand brewing up here.
Yes.
Ace King suited for Markish. Pocket Kings for Sokolovsky.
Yeah, and he will jam. And unless someone picks up, or maybe even a couple of players pick up hands behind, Markesh with the incredibly strong ace-king suited.
That ain't a hand. Big blind, chip leader still.
Yeah, and Pedro ready to snap.
Nay. Well, that's all the king's done.
Yeah, and...
Good luck.
Sokolovsky at risk.
I don't think I say good luck in this spot.
Ace-king looks kind of powerful suited, right? Somehow.
Sam?
It just does.
Don't do it.
The butchers.
Markish.
Phlegmatic.
Can hit an ace. We know there's no kings left.
Yeah, and Sokolovsky awaits his fate.
Is a heart. Just one at least. Runner, royal. What odds you want to give me?
That would be a good way to do it for sure.
Turn card. No heart. Good news for Sokolovsky.
Yeah, that's a big old brick. Barry required, otherwise Sokolovsky will double.
Wow.
I can't believe it, Vince. That is disgusting.
Moreover, I fired 1 ace.
That's brutal. Really, really, really brutal for Alexander.
OMG. Alexander Sokolovsky.
King 9 diamonds for Markish.
160.
Raises to 160,000. Queen 3 of diamonds for Kishu.
Don't get bored, Kishu.
And we come to the chip leader in the big blind, who has 10-3 of spades.
Runkin has made some, you know, tight folds from the big blind against this very tough opponent in the past. We saw, you know, a king 5 off, but the suited 10 gonna fall in the call range for him. An advantage to the chip leader with that gut shot. Let's see how he maneuvers. Obviously, a great deal of pressure can be put on Markesh just with something like a lead here, and elects to check.
Bravalo says Sparks hadn't heard of them but enjoyed reading about them. There's actually a really fun documentary about Sparks made by Edgar Wright. I think it's on Netflix. Certainly is on Netflix in the UK.
And this is a complete gin card for the Razor here, because it's the exact card that I think Runkin will elect to start betting at. Now double gutted
I have to
to
say,
that 5 or that 8.
Aaron Kramer's got a good bad lookalike for Runkin. Tim Curry.
That's very good bad lookalike. And Runkin actually sizing up here pretty significantly. 310 into about 440. Wanting to fold out any non-pair hands. And look, if Marques had King 10 here, this would be very difficult to continue even with that straight draw or, you know, an ace 3. Easy call. The bricks out. Does Runkin go for it? And if he does go for it, I expect it to be big, so this could be a nice swing. Oh, no, he did not.
What?
No way. The 3.3x pot shove out of nowhere from the rafters. What is this? This is wild stuff.
What is he representing here?
I mean, all the nut hands that Marques can't have, right? You know, Marques would have c-bet with a set of 6s or pocket 9s with 5-8 suited, whatever. So it's just when you're up against a capped range, you can inflict this kind of punishment. I mean, how do you call with one pair when there's 10 left in an EPT main event? When you're comfortably floating around, if you fold here, you still have over 40 big blinds. I mean, this is remarkable stuff.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If anyone is capable of making a hero call on the river of this nature, it's this guy.
Yeah, and look at that stack of time bank chips, James. This is the man who will take his time with this decision.
Sure.
Not let himself just get run over here. You know, and of course he's got to be considering the disaster of being wrong here. If he calls and just gets shown 3-5 and this guy's running around and all celebrating, suddenly you're out in 10th. It's just all over all of a sudden. The edge you're giving up by being wrong here is so significant, and that's why this is an incredible move from the chip leader. Oh, God.
He folds the best hand.
It's just not worth being wrong.
ICM pressure is real. Runkin up to nearly 11 million now. Pedro Marques dropping down to 3.3 million.
But I will say though, and I mentioned this earlier, you know, obviously the time banks are not that valuable if you're short stacked. You're not really, you know, thinking, oh, I might need this later, because you're really just trying to survive. But it's not that he's not losing something himself by doing that, right? Like if there was no consequence, no, you know, bad negative effect to him to do that, it's kind of different. But like he is giving something up in this exchange in the process, which, you know, I'm not saying it like makes it fair. I'm just saying it's something to consider. There's no repercussions in a way.
He made $30,000, 30,000 euros from Dan Keisho going out next. How many people at this table would trade 2 time bank cards for 30 grand?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. Obviously, it isn't more valuable to get the pay jump, but it is costing him something in exchange still. Whether it's, you know, it's obviously not equivalent.
So are you saying that Dan Keisho busting had it was the blinds going up had an effect on it? Like it directly
He
put
went
him
from
forced all
8
in?
big blinds to 6 big blinds when the blinds went up. Sorry, he had 10 big blinds, the blinds went up, then he had a post, so they had 6 big blinds, and he was the next player eliminated.
Okay.
I'm not saying there should be a penalty, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying it is a bit of an angle.
I mean, I will say too, though, that, you know, with live streaming, you know, things like this just proliferates a lot more. It just gets spread because someone sees, usually a lot of these things starts at the top, right? Like it starts with the elite fields where someone kind of comes up with a way to, maneuver around what people are traditionally doing to find that extra edge in situations, right? Within, like with stalling and using time banks to stall for pay jumps, and all kind of started with, the high stakes players, and so did this. I think the first time I saw somebody really talk about it was, I believe, where it was used in a very important spot it was done by Alex Foxen.
Yeah.
Not that he was the first person to do it. I'm just saying that it was like a high profile situation. And then, these streams, and they're like, well, if the top players are doing it, then this is definitely something I need to be doing.
I do want to take 1 second, one pause from this conversation to say that Capeller's just turned a straight in a spot where Runkin
Turn a flush.
A flush, thank you. Where Runkin has the nut low.
Yeah, kind of just perfect spot for Capeller here. Duncan feeling like he has to barrel this wheel draw to attack the weakest part of Capeller's range, something like a 9x that would have to fold.
Yeah, it almost always feels like a bit of a mandatory bluff when you have, zero showdown.
$1.4. Sit 6 raise, 1,400,000.
Runkin getting raised here.
Oh my God.
Oh, what?
Oh, wow.
It's really not good.
No.
How about...
No.
What's the smell factor here, Griffin?
This stinks.
Rotten eggs.
Runkin calls.
Yeah, this is just not
What if the river is a spade? The board pairs.
very levelly poker. It's just not, you just don't need to do this.
Yeah, it almost feels like so many things have been working out in Runkin's favor that he's just, riding this wave of thinking he's kind of getting away with being in the right spots and zigging and zagging, but this is just incredibly ambitious.
I mean, it's just everything. You can even just fold this button. Like, you don't need to just like raise 100% of buttons because you have the chip lead. And yeah, finding yourself on the river with 35 big blinds in the pot, and you have the nut low without even a spade blocker. It's just, yeah.
What's that smell? XY, who can see all the hold cards, says check and let Runkin bet.
I mean, Capeller's not thrilled by this river, by the way. Because Runkin should have something like pretty strong. The 4 obviously creates some full houses. You could already be losing to a worse flush. There are versions of this hand going down, and so Capeller's a bit skittish here.
Rockapeller.
7 million back, 3.8 in the pot. Feels almost kind of like too thin to shove with when you're 4th or 5th in chips kind of thing. I don't know. It's strange.
Some of the people who are saying the time bank cards are for people to use however they see fit are wondering why Capeller's taking so long here.
He did all in right away.
Wow, he did.
He did it all in right away. Right over the
Capeller bet 1.7 million. Runkin shoved on him.
This is incredible.
My goodness.
So.
Okay, listen.
Take the lead,
you
Maria.
gotta put some respect. I mean, you gotta put some respect on Runkin's name, right?
Is it smelling any better?
It smells a little better. It does smell a little better.
Yeah, I definitely like it a lot better than
Big
if he
bluff,
just
yeah?
called the turn
You make big
and,
bluff.
and not willing to go for it on the river.
Oh, he's talking now. Saying you made a big bluff.
Oh my gosh.
This
Give me the
is
content, right?
street poker.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like the table talk though.
Yeah, it feels weak to me, but I also can see the hold
So
cards.
sus.
Yeah.
But I mean,
10 seconds.
kudos all around.
5.
God.
Oh, it worked! Oh my God!
No, next
Oh
round.
my god.
It worked!
You want, yeah? You want, no, if you don't want, I don't show.
Wow.
Sure, please.
Oh
you want me to
my
Yeah, show it.
God! Runkin be Duncan on ICM Fools.
Even Marquesh is smiling. The man is so hard to impress.
So sick.